Good evening, newbies, and welcome to Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. Today we are joined by Jahkil Jackson, a nonprofit founder who started his nonprofit Project I Am when he was just 8 years old. Project I Am is building a movement rooted in youth leadership, compassion, and service. What started as one young change maker's mission to help people experiencing homelessness has grown into a global force. Through the distribution of blessing bags and youth-led volunteer events, Project I Am has raised nearly 1 million and impacted more than 300,000 people in need. From shelters in Chicago to disaster zones in the Bahamas and community centers in Ghana, Project I Am is making an impact. And today, we will find out why this founder is built different. I am your host, Bridget Scarborough. I am a nonprofit strategist and founder of 501c3 My.org. I am also a part of the Female Solution Global Network. Let's go.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Leaders of Nonprofits Empowering Worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
Welcome, Jahkil. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Your story is so amazing, and I was very intrigued with your story of starting a nonprofit at just age 8.
Thank
So
you.
what's your nonprofit called?
It's called Project I Am.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about what Project I Am is? What is your mission, and how did you get started with this at age 8?
Yeah, so Project I Am is an organization I started at the age of 8 years old to build awareness of homelessness and build awareness of homelessness and provide blessing bags for those in need. I started it at the age of 8, and it kind of stemmed from when I was 5, and I was just seeing people living on the streets, and it kind of affected me, and I was curious. I was sad and honestly confused, and all at the same time, I couldn't understand why people didn't have a place to sleep. My first thoughts were, let's get everybody homes, but I quickly learned that it wasn't that simple. And even though I was young, I couldn't just let those feelings go. So I kept bringing it up to my family, and they realized I wasn't going to move on from it. And I told them that I need to do something right now, not later. So we sat down and we figured out what we can do realistically, and we thought of the idea of Project I Am.
So that was in 2016, correct?
2016, yes.
What city did you start Project I Am in?
In Chicago.
In Chicago. So, people at age 8 typically are still trying to, play with toys and worried about getting some new clothes, and you're worried about the homeless. What was like the first step that you guys did in order to start the nonprofit?
I would say the first step was just, doing the actual packing party. When I was 8, this was before the organization was a thing. My first packing party was with a few of my friends. We did about like 88 bags, I want to say.
Hmm.
So we started off really small. We didn't start off with, a big project. And we realized eventually, as we kept doing it, that we would need to create an organization to back everything that we were doing. So that's when we started the actual nonprofit. But before, it was just actually getting out there and trying it to see if, it will work, to see if any adjustments need to be made.
Now, do you come from a background of charitable work? Like, does your family often do charitable work? Is this something that's part of your DNA, or were you just kind of the first pioneer to do this type of work in your family?
Actually, I give a lot of the credit most of the time to my family because they are so, in that field. Growing up, seeing my parents work for themselves and see most of my family just be their own boss, it kind of inspired me to, I guess, want to do the same when I got older. And it was just like the perfect timing with, everything that I had saw in the homeless community and having the actual passion for it. It kind of just worked itself out with me just already having that goal of being my own boss, and then actually seeing a problem that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, that brings me to something that I often hear you refer to, which is this term social entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So your motivation, because you started this when you were 8, but you're how old now?
18.
So you stuck with this. This wasn't just a fleeting thought. And so now you've grown into this social entrepreneur. This is a term that I've heard you talk about a lot. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so social entrepreneur is a person that starts a business with the aim of solving social problems or affecting change. So that kind of makes me a social entrepreneur.
Okay. And you have a few programs that you do with children, teaching them how to be social entrepreneurs as well.
Exactly.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that? I did see where you did some trainings with people all over the nation. It's, Chicago, as well as I think I saw Florida. Are you currently in Florida? Is that where you're going to school?
No, I'm in Ohio.
In Ohio. Okay. So you're away at school right now
Yeah.
at a basketball prep school, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've seen, let me pull up some pictures here. I have seen where you did some work with some students. Let me find the pictures. So do you remember this group of children?
Yes.
What school was this? And what were you teaching them? How long was the program? Was it just a day? Were you with them for an extended period of time?
So this was actually different than the class that I teach. I'm forgetting the name of the school, but this is actually a part of the campaign that I started, the project I Am Next Up, which is basically where we're having young people run Project I Am where they are. That's kind of how I've been able to expand, with me being in school now, to places all across the world, with people running their own Project I Am in places like the UK and Spain, as well as Florida, like you said, in this school as well. This is actually in France. This
In
school right
France.
here is in France. So they have their own campaign going on right now. But that's different than the actual classes that I started to teach in schools a few years ago.
So basically, with Next Up, which is this program, you're teaching them how to do their own Project I Am.
Not
And their
necessarily teaching, but it's kind of like they have they build like their own little club kind of, and then they do like service projects and stuff that they want to do in their communities, but it's kind of under the same blueprint as how we run things at Project I Am.
Okay. And so the other one, the class that you teach is actually teaching what's the difference between this particular program where they're actually running their own Project I Am and the class that you teach?
Yeah, so the project I Am next up is more so, just giving them the blueprint and having them run their own Project I Am where they are. But the class that I started to teach in schools is just teaching them about social entrepreneurship. And in the class, we kind of um, they build their own ideas throughout the class, and I teach them, how to market and market their business and just the different things that go into that. Then at the end, it's little separate groups, and there's like a first, second, and third place winner, and each winner gets a certain amount of money towards their own initiative that they actually want to start outside of the class. So it's teaching them inside the class, and then so that they can go and do it when we're all done.
Now, at some point when you were younger, you met President Obama. Tell me about that experience. How did that come about?
Yeah, so in 2017, he named me one of 2017's most influential people. Then I later got to meet him in 2018 when the Obama Foundation, they requested me to come to a reception. And it was, when I got there, it was just a room full of adults. It was me and my mom, and I was the only kid there. And we ended up like networking for about an hour. And right when we were finna leave, actually, because my mom was getting tired, a guy came out and said, "You guys are now going to meet Obama." So I started jumping up and down, getting super excited. And when we went to the line to meet him, I walked up to him, and a lady that was next to him was telling him who the person is, so he doesn't forget in the moment. And he actually interrupted her and said, "I know who this young man is. I was tweeting about him." So to know that he remembered, who I was months later, and I had a good conversation with him about my future goals, and the Obama Foundation has supported me ever since then. So it's been pretty good.
So do you ever feel, because you started out so young, that you were ever underestimated? Like people didn't take it seriously, or?
Yeah, that's probably the biggest problem I see when it comes to my peers and when they're starting things. Luckily, I didn't have a lot of that, just because I think earlier on, because I had so much, because I got a lot of opportunities early on, and I had a lot of things to back up what I was doing, and it was the whole adorable aspect, kind of just me being so young doing all this. A lot of people were more so excited and shocked by how much I had done already, than rather than doubting me or thinking I'm too young. But unfortunately, that is a problem that we do see a lot in the young community when they're trying to start their own businesses.
What are some of the main things that you tell in those situations? What are some of the main things that you tell the young folks that you work with how to overcome those obstacles?
The biggest thing I tell them is to remember why you're doing what you're doing, because a lot of times when you're going through something like that, it can get overwhelming and to the point where you just want to stop. So just to remember why you're doing the reason that you're doing what you're doing, and if that reason outweighs the whole being sad because somebody's telling you can't do this, and you're too young, then keep doing it, because the end result, as long as you're sticking to it and making sure that little comments aren't getting to you, then it's going to be good for you in the end.
So how did you build your team, at such a young age? How did that come about? Or do you still work with the team that you started with initially? I guess 8 years later at this point, 10 years later, you're 18.
Yeah.
So 10 years later, are you still kind of with that core team that you started with, or has it expanded greatly?
Mhm. Yeah, so my parents and my grandmother are my core team, I'd say. But Project I Am is powered by thousands of youth volunteers now from around the world who kind of keep it alive. But my family, and it's like a family movement, because that's like the core people that I started with. And since we're volunteer based, we don't really have like necessarily like employees, I would say, but it's mainly volunteer based and a lot of youth volunteers.
And Project I Am just won. You were the recipient of the NBC Community Impact Grant, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, is that an award that goes to you as the founder, honoring you as the founder, or does it go to the organization, honoring the organization?
To the organization.
And how did that make you feel? That was that the biggest award that you've ever received?
I don't think so, but I don't think so, but it was a pretty cool award to receive, just because any type of grant or award is good for the organization. Just since we're a nonprofit, we fuel off of donations, and things like grants. So whenever that type of stuff happens, it's great because we're able to then put that into buying more toiletry items, um, you know, um, having more marketing for the organization, whether we're having events coming up, especially with Giving Tuesday, which is the biggest event of the year. That was really good for us.
So what do you normally do other than write grants in order to fund your organization?
Social media has become a huge part of I think a lot of people's nonprofits these days. Um, Social media, you kind of have to do social media if you want to be successful in that lane. Besides grants and social media marketing that we do, lots of times when I do news interviews or just anything really to get the word out, it usually helps a lot. But also, I would say the brand work that I do, and the brands that I work with, usually it generates a lot of donations, whether it's from the organization itself or from people seeing the videos and wanted to check out what I'm doing.
Speaking of videos, we should probably show a video because you've been speaking since you were very young. And I actually know a person who has an organization called Organic Oneness. Does that sound familiar to you?
I think so.
And so she said that years ago, I don't know how long ago, you were a keynote speaker actually at one of her conferences.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to be joining her in an initiative this upcoming weekend. I saw a flyer that you will be a part of the King Day of Service. So maybe that will. Are you going to be actually present at this event?
I don't think so, because the only event, because when I come back for the anniversary in March, I think that's when I come back because I'm in season now.
Okay. So is this just a collaboration?
Yeah.
Between your organization and her organization?
Yeah.
Okay, Jahkil, I'm going to share my screen and show a video of you when you were 12 years old talking about the work that you do.
My motto is don't wait to be great. It means that us young people don't have to wait until we're adults to be change agents, because we can do it right now. My name is Jahkil Jackson. I'm 12 years old, and I have an organization called Project I Am. I am from Chicago, and this place has definitely impacted the work that I do, where I make blessing bags for those in need, and I build awareness on homelessness by doing that. It was when I was 5 years old, and I went to go feed the homes of my aunt and my cousins. Then at 5 years old, I thought everybody had homes, so I asked my parents if we could give them all houses. We couldn't do that, so they had a conversation with me, and we were talking about doing like food and stuff. And I wanted to do something different because I felt like toiletry items can last longer. And then we thought of the blessing bags.
You please don't draw blood. Chill.
Well, yeah, I remember last time.
Jahkil is low key up here, really enjoying this knife. I'm a little bit afraid.
We got 15 of my friends and family to come out, and we packed 88 bags. It was very small. We didn't start off with like 1,000 or something. But after the event, I asked my parents, when is the next one going to be? And they were like, what? Like they thought it was going to be a one-time thing, but I wanted to keep going. I thought we were going to continue this. So they were actually really supportive of that, but able to keep going. We had to build a structure around this. So that's when we came up with the organization to help fund it. So my organization has been recognized by lots of big corporations, including the Obama Foundation and Obama himself. I actually got to meet him. It was like one of the best days of my life, and he said he's going to help me in the future. So I'm looking forward to that. Ready? Some of the activities that I do, I play basketball, I tap dance, I break dance, I act, and that really incorporates like some of the things that are used in my organization, like teamwork and having to work together. And that's especially what we have to do when we're doing the blessing bags. We have created over 40,000 blessing bags over the past 4 years. I do this organization because I want to inspire others and build awareness to homelessness so that I can demolish homelessness. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this organization. Family has been very important. It felt great to know that my parents were on board and ready to support me, because lots of kids don't have that type of support system. They are huge supporters to me. It's just a blessing to have them by your side.
So can you recall any events that you want to add in here? Because we need to update this.
Yeah, this one. I have inspired lots of people to do things in their community, and I do believe in the power of young people, because that's what I preach to adults all the time, that they have to start listening to us young people. You want to be successful, you have to go for it. What's the point of waiting when you can start now? Be ahead of everybody when you're older. I feel like I want my legacy to be as somebody who is kind and hardworking and inspirational to the youth. That's the kind of mark I want to leave on the world.
So Jahkil, right now you are away at a basketball college prep school?
Yep.
I've never heard of anything like that. Is that what you aspire to be, a basketball player?
Yes.
Do the skills that you learn as a basketball player, does that transfer into what you're doing to your nonprofit, or vice versa?
I would say it definitely adds. Basketball teaches discipline, consistency, and how to lead under pressure. So all of which I kind of carry into my nonprofit work, and everything else that I do.
Well, speaking of leading under pressure, have you ever had some times during your work with the nonprofit that you felt like you were under pressure, or there was a very challenging situation?
I would say the biggest time would have to have been COVID, where the organization was under pressure. I was under pressure. A lot of people at that time were under pressure. So I would say that was probably the biggest moment. And just trying to figure out how we're gonna, continue, because a lot of businesses shut down during that time. But we wanted to keep going, and even though we're volunteer based and we kind of like need volunteers to do the bag stuffings, we still were working our way around it. We were doing bag stuffings with just me, my mom, my dad in the house. So after we got tired of doing that, we started figuring out ways that we can, continue with, other people participating as well. So I created the idea of doing virtual packing parties, which was probably the best idea we've ever came up with, because we've been able to have the most people pack bags at one time since then. So that's kind of what came out of that whole experience.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you still do the virtual packing parties?
Yeah, that's what we do for Giving Tuesday. So it's kind of become the biggest thing that we do every year. This past Giving Tuesday last year, we had about, I want to say 15, we did 20,000 bags, and we had thousands of youth from all over the world participating.
Wow.
But we did 20,000 bags in one sitting.
So when you say all over the world, what's like the country that you think participates the most in your packing parties?
It's not, I don't think it would definitely be the US, because that's where I know the most people. So because it's a lot of my friends as well that do it and participate from across the country. But it's little groups and all over the world, I'd say.
Nice. How did you make that connection to people all over the world? Because you have the Up Next. Is it Next Up or Up Next? I'm sorry, I keep
Next Up.
Next Up. You have the Next Up program that you have been able to make global connections with. How did that come about? How were you able to branch off all the way to France and have people starting Project I Am in France?
Yeah, a lot of it came from them reaching out to us. A lot of people over the years from across the world have reached out after seeing the work that we were doing, and asked how they can get a part of it. But back then I didn't really know a way that they can participate, because a lot of it is like being in person.
Right.
But then when we created the virtual packing parties out of COVID, it was a way that we can get everybody involved at the same time. So that's why I said it's probably like the best idea we've ever came up with. And it's really that. But when I started the Project I Am Next Up, it was an opportunity for me to get all those people that I had communicated with from across the world to participate now. And then also, people reaching out as well.
So how much of the programming are you actively involved in? Like, are you actually writing curriculum, or do you have a team that does that, or writing, guidance, or writing trainings for other groups, whether it be for your courses or whether it be for the Next Up program?
Yeah, for the classes, actually the same person that helped me write my books is the one that helps me with the curriculum for the classes that I teach. Miss Ariel Biggs, she does a great job at kind of structuring all of the ideas I have. So it's really cool getting to work with her, and she helped with the structure for the class that I taught. And for the Project I Am Next Up, there's not like a curriculum, but it's more so like sitting down and having like Zoom calls every once in a while and just seeing what they're up to, seeing if they need any assistance, if they have any questions for me, for certain things. It's more like that.
And you do the Zoom calls personally, or
Yeah.
do you have other people that also do it? Okay.
Yeah,
So
I do.
you're still very active. One of the things when I first came across you on LinkedIn because that's how I got to know you and your work. And when I saw that you were the recipient of I've been following you for a while, but then when I saw that you were the recipient of the NBC grant, community impact grant, I said, wow. And it was around you were announced as the recipient of that grant around the same time as I started this podcast. And so that I was immediately like, okay, he needs to be on the show. You're the youngest person that's ever been on my show. So I was like, number one, we need, a young face.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know that young people are actually doing this kind of work. Young people need to know that they do have power and they can affect change. And I wanted to just really grab hold of that audience. And I was like, Jahkil needs to be on the podcast. So when I saw that announcement, it was my wake up call to say, hey, this brother, let me reach out. And I'm so glad that I did because you're such a pleasant person.
Thank you.
So this is really cool because if you become a basketball player, like, do you plan on playing professionally, go to the NBA and things like that? That would be awesome to have somebody like you in the NBA, to really promote that social entrepreneurship idea and the idea that, because I have confidence that you will be able to, that you will use your money wisely and to really give back, what are the kind of lessons that you've learned through this, like that you're going to carry into your adulthood? That's going to, how has this affected who you are as a person and how you make decisions and things like that?
I would say treat people how you want to be treated is the biggest one I've kind of learned out of this. Of course, just that's kind of what the organization is based around. But let me think. That's definitely one of the biggest lessons that I'll carry with me, I feel like. And I think that's how I've kind of grown as a person, especially as an only child, a pretty selfish kid growing up, just because just being an only child will do that. But I've kind of just learned to give to others and want to give back in other aspects other than just the homelessness. So I think it's made me a better person in that aspect as well.
So what also have you had any specific moments with the unhoused? I just learned that the unhoused is a new term that people are using other than homelessness, because we have another podcaster in our network. Her name is Zelda, and she has a show. She's part of the Female Solution Network, and she has a show called Monday Morning Mindfulness, but she also has an initiative. I don't know if you may have heard of her, but she also has an initiative where she feeds the homeless, the unhoused, every Friday. And she uses the term unhoused. She was on my show a few weeks back, and we were talking about how, people now are using unhoused and instead of homeless. But have you experienced any situations with the unhoused that either was inspiring to you, or maybe a not so pleasant encounter? Because she also shared with me some encounters that weren't so pleasant. But tell me about some of the actual interactions that you've had with the unhoused.
So one that I can remember the most that was pretty cool. When I was first starting out, I think it was the first shelter that I had given blessing bags out to, but it wasn't the first time I was there. It was just like I was going back. But it was a lady that stayed back after she got her blessing bag because they were kind of lined up to get them, and she stayed back and kind of told us her story and how she got to where she was. and it was a cool moment. She did like a Donald Duck impression, which was pretty cool. And it was just a great experience, just having somebody actually feel comfortable enough to tell us about them and their story. So um, yeah, that was probably my favorite moment.
And how old were you when that happened?
I want to say I had to have been either 8 or 9. It was really early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it probably made you really aware that these are real people with real lives.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have a book out.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Let me bring your book to the stage here. Tell us a little bit about Built Different. Tell us about that title. That's a very compelling title, like Built Different. Whoa, it definitely makes you want to read it. So who are you talking about that's built different? And tell us about the book.
Yeah, so Build Different goes deeper. It focuses on mental health and balance and making smart decisions as life gets more complex. And all 3 books that I've made are kind of like connected. They're like a timeline of my life and the lessons that I've learned at each stage. So my other books, actually, Don't Want to Be Great, which is the book I wrote before this one, it's more of like a roadmap for middle school students, I'll say, and it introduces social entrepreneurship to them and emphasizes the importance of giving back and working towards your goals. Now, not later on in life. And then my first book, called I Am, was a children's book to help other kids deal with the experience of being bullied. It's an anti-bullying book, and it focuses on self-awareness and self-love, and it includes daily affirmations that help me, especially during COVID. So those are kind of all my books that I've wrote.
Do you have young people involved in the planning of your organization? Do you have them in leadership roles, people that are your age or younger, or even around your age, a little bit older?
Yeah, so we're working towards that, actually. It's a couple of people that I've started to, mentor a little bit. Younger people who are just, every time they come in for a bag stuff and they're on it, they're excited to give back, and for a couple of years they've been working with organizations, and hopefully just building more of that. I would love to see that. That's one of my biggest goals, is to just working with young people, and being able to pass things over to them. So hopefully in the future we can get that going.
Yeah, maybe you can connect them to other organizations that need young people in leadership. Because as a consultant, one of the things that I feel is lacking in a lot of organizations that have been around for a long time, everyone is older. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's not a good thing, because they may not understand the population that they're working with.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of organizations that have youth programs, but everybody that's serving as a mentor, they're like over the age of 50, Yeah. And I do think that you need the older people in the organization as well as younger people, but you have to have that population that's a little closer to the age group that you're trying to affect, because they can give more suggestions on how to kind of relate to that population if they're working with youth. And also, even if you're not working with youth, the youth can just bring fresh ideas. They know a little bit more about technology oftentimes, so they can give suggestions in that area. But yeah, it's just good to have that youthful energy and that input, those fresh ideas that the youth can bring. So yeah, that's my suggestion. Start placing people in some of these organizations. Well, Jahkil, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Is there any final thoughts? I'm going to bring up your website. We are projectim.com. Can people go there to make donations if they want to? And what are your final thoughts that you would like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, we are Project I Am is where you would go if you want to donate, find out any more information about what we're doing, how to get involved in the Project I Am Next Up. But I will leave just with my motto: don't wait to be great. It means that us as young people don't have to wait until we're adults to be change agents or start our own business, because we can do it right now. And what's the point of waiting when you can start now and be years ahead of everyone when you're older, or be years ahead now? It really isn't an age limit.
Absolutely. And I concur. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, because I know it was very hard booking you. So I do know that you're busy, and so I do greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.